Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video, I'll be going through the solution to exercise 4.13 from the C programming language textbook by Kernighan and Ritchie. Now, exercise 4.13 says to write a recursive version of the function reverse s, which reverses the string s in place. So, as is the case with recursive functions, we should think about expressing our problem recursively, or thinking about our problem in terms of subproblems of the same type. So what is reversing a string? Let's say we reverse hello. Well, it's the same as just swapping the outer two most elements and then reversing this inner subarray. And how do you reverse this inner subarray? Well, you also swap the outer two elements of that inner subarray, and then you reverse an inner subarray of that inner subarray. Okay, so how can we do this? Well, we could, and you'd be tempted to use a static internal variable I and a static internal variable j, and this will be the left and right outermost elements of each array, and then after we call it recursively, we'll just increment I and decrement j so that it moves the subarray in. But there is this problem. As soon as we get to this line, we're at a problem, because the strlen function is computed at runtime, not compile time. But in C, all static variables, or all static internal variables or values must be their values must be calculated or set at compile time. It cannot be a runtime value. So I'll just show it anyways. This will give an error. Here we go. Initialize the element is not a constant. So it needs to be at compile time. So we can't use static internal there. Well, what about if we had I and j here, and we pass through different values of I and j to each function call? Well, we could do that, but the problem is the question tells us that reverse s should just take a string. So a cool little trick you could do is write a function that actually does the reversing for you. So I'm going to call this function void do reverse. It's going to take the string, the string or the character array, and it's going to take an integer I and an integer j. So this is going to be the left outermost and the right outermost elements of the subarray that we wish to reverse. And in the do reverse, all we're going to do, in the reverse, all we're going to do is call it. So how are we going to call it? If I can just type, well, we're going to have I as 0. We're going to have j as strlen of s minus 1. And now that this is not a static internal variable, I can safely do that. And then I'm going to call do reverse. And now let's write do reverse. Oops. Okay, how do we reverse it? Well, when should we swap the outer two elements of the array? Well, if the left element has not crossed over the right, or the right has not crossed over the left. In other words, if I is still less than j. Can swap. Okay, how do we swap? Well, I'm going to make a temporary variable, and it's going to be set to s of I, then s of I will be s of j. So we're just swapping s of I and s of j. So we've swapped the outer two elements. Now I want to reverse the subarray. Where does the subarray start and end? Its indices or its indexes. Well, it's going to be one more where I currently is, and one less where J currently is. And it's very important I do this prefix and not postfix, because if I do a postfix, I'm going to pass in the same value of J and then decrement it, but this decrementing will do nothing because it doesn't actually get decremented in the next function call. So I'll do that. You could probably more safely do that and that, but we'll just stick with this. Okay, that looks good to me. Let's try compile it. Okay, no issues. Let's see if it reverses it. And there we go. It reversed the string. Now, that will be all for this video. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.